this incredible presence. You had this incredible presence that you activated me. And I was like, right, I need to know more about this woman and I need to know more about your work. And so I'm just really excited to have a conversation with you today. So welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the extremely warm welcome. And it was just such an absolutely joy to connect with you initially. I really love our connection, and I'm excited to be here and to talk about potential and where we're all being called to during this really extraordinary time we're living in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. These feel like extraordinary times, and times when we are being called more and more into the truth of who we are and discovering the truth of who we are so that we can express that truth and in the process elevate the collective consciousness. So I'd love to start by asking you to talk a little bit about the Akashic Records and being at an Akashic channel. Like, what does that mean, and why is that such a powerful way to create a vision and manifest a vision?
Yeah, that's such a fantastic question. So to kind of give you a little bit more of my background. So I've had a gift for channeling prior to my work in the Akashic Records. What I love about working with people in the Akashic Records is that, for those who aren't familiar, the Akashic Records are essentially your book of life. They are the storehouse of information for everything that is your soul, that is all of your soul's experience. Multi-dimensional, all the facets of your lifetimes, all of your beliefs, emotions, fears, your purpose, your global mission, all the information is in there. And what I love about supporting people in the records is that there is no subjectivity in the information that's being channeled. I'm receiving information for clients directly from their records, their Akashic record keepers, from their guides, or as I like to refer to it, their divine support team. So that's, really what is so powerful about working in the records. And because each of us is a sovereign divine creator, we can heal in our records as well. We get to choose our own destiny. So if we want to change directions or heal or clear something, unhealed trauma, or just create a new experience, we can do all of that in our records. And that's the work that I do with people, is really a combination of channeling information, but also healing as well. Something that is, a common belief in the personal development industry, or I should say, like maybe a mindset, is that healing has to be this, growth has to be this long, drawn out, painful thing. And with certain things, there can be a process and a gradual process to healing. But if you're someone who is willing to be open to just letting go of whatever it is that you feel like might be holding you back, or whatever it is that might be misaligned with your highest path, it can happen as quickly as doing an energetic clearing in the records. I recently had a session with someone, a private session with someone who, so my sessions are typically an hour long, the one-off sessions. And after about 25 minutes, she said to me, I think you just changed my whole life in like 25 minutes. But just to illustrate that is how quickly shifts can take place. You can make quantum leap shifts, and it doesn't have to take a long time, and it doesn't have to be painful. And it can actually be fun, which joy is part of our being. It's part of who we are.
Wow, what a beautiful answer. What a beautiful concept, that we have this ability to tune in and tap in, and feel something that quick and experience a quantum leap. So what stops us from moving through that process as quickly as we maybe could?
Yeah, it's our beliefs, essentially. our beliefs about what is possible for us. And a lot of that goes back to societal and transgenerational programming, influencing, our mind operates. A lot of people allow their mind essentially to be the captain of the ship, when it's really our heart, our soul's guidance, that is the driving force behind our expansion. The mind is concerned with keeping us safe, which, if there's like a bear chasing after you and you're feeling, you're going to get eaten or whatever, that serves a purpose, but the mind believes that by questioning things or limiting ourselves, that we're keeping ourselves safe. But the opposite is actually true, because what we're doing is keeping ourselves from growth and expansion in the status quo. Your intuition, or your soul's guidance, however you want to refer to it, is always going to guide you toward expansion. And because of that programming, or that influencing that so many of us experience, it can cause us to question our soul's guidance. So one of the most common questions I get is, Jennifer, how do I tell the difference between my soul's guidance and the mind chatter, right? Like what my mind is telling me to do. And the easiest way is to know that whatever direction is coming from your soul's guidance, it's never going to be fear-based. The mind is what does the questioning, is what plants those fear-based thoughts. So the soul's never going to be fear-based. It's always going to guide you toward expansion. And it can innately just feel a bit scary, because again, many of us are conditioned to believe that we need to fear change. So the only way forward is through. There is no magic bullet to, maybe I don't have to feel scared if I do this or I do that. There's going to be an element of fear. And I often say that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's just your ability and your willingness to move through it. The only way forward is through. And fear is actually just a fantastic growth tool, because whenever you feel fear about something, it just means that there's an opportunity for you to grow and to expand. I'm really just feeling very strongly, a Joan of Arc energy when I'm talking right now. And there's a quote that many people know from her, which is that, I'm not afraid. I was born to do this. And that is the mentality. It's like, especially when you have it on your heart to make a difference in the world, there is no other path. There is just the path. And that is the mindset. Sniffling from allergies, sorry. I'm not crying.
So I just have to say at this point that your presence and your energy is actually really potent. I just keep feeling like I want to giggle, because and I felt this when we had our call the other day as well. Like you are such a potent activator. I can just feel it being in your energy and in your presence. That stuff is just shifting just from listening to what you have to say. You are clearly a very powerful channel. And I love what you said about we have to move through things. It reminds me of that kids book, we're on a bear hunt and the children discover that they have to move through all the hurdles and the roadblocks. I would love to ask you, what is the relationship between our personal healing journey and our purpose?
Yes. So it may sound a little cliche, but this saying that's out there, and I believe one of our colleagues actually has an upcoming book project that has this title, and it's Turning Pain into Purpose. Like, our pain is our purpose, our mess is our message. There are lots of expressions out there about that, but it's true. So every one of our experiences serves a higher purpose. And often at the time that we're having an experience, we don't understand the why, especially the experiences that are challenging or tragic for us. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's where trust is so important, because what happens is that all of these experiences that we have, the joyful ones, the tragic ones, the painful ones, all serve a purpose. They're all crystallized into wisdom, and that serves us, that uniquely equips each one of us in our ability to support those that we're here to serve at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So if we didn't have these experiences, right, we wouldn't understand as much the value of growth, ascension, expansion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It feels like this also ties back to what you were saying about having to, the only way through is to move through things, and by moving through things, and I guess we get the lesson. We can learn from those experiences. We can turn that pain into purpose. That feels like a powerful method of ascension and growing, from what you've been saying.
Absolutely. And every person, has a purpose. I mean, every animal, every being is living, has a soul, has a purpose. Some people have a mission, a global mission beyond their personal purpose and experiences, to contribute to the collective. And so chances are whoever in your community is watching this right now, and definitely the people that are in my community, all feel that greater calling to self-mastery, to full creative expression, in support of raising consciousness of planet and humanity.
My son has just brought my dog into my room.
Your dog agreed.
What is that?
Kids love them. Okay, so how do we start discovering what our purpose is? Like, how do we draw that vision down and connect with source to pull down that vision and that purpose for
yeah, so there are so many answers to that question. What happens is often whatever we desire or whatever brings us joy as a young child is often an indicator of what our purpose here is. But it's important to say that purpose isn't this thing to achieve. Okay, it's not a destination. Your personal purpose and your path here is an ongoing journey, and within that there is a divine purpose, right? That those experiences that you have, or those gifts or talents that you have, serve. Okay, so as a young child, that's usually one of the first indicators. So for example, when I was a girl, I always wanted to be a teacher, and I always would play teacher or whatever. Yeah. And as I started getting older, I was just the person a lot of people came to, for advice, or people that didn't know me would be like, I'm for some reason telling you my whole life story and I don't even know you. Those are just like indicators. So something, a gift that you have that feels like common sense to you, it isn't for other people, and it also brings you a lot of joy. What you're being called to is always also aligned with your core beliefs and your values, right? So one of my a couple of my top values are integrity and freedom, and those align with who I am and the work that I do with others, supporting them in living free, supporting them in remembering and embodying the true essence of who they are and why they're here on the planet. So just being clear on your values, tapping into what brings you joy, having the willingness beyond anything else to follow those, right? And to anchor that into your physical reality without hesitation because of what others will think or what society thinks, right? You and I were part of an amazing book together recently, Sacred Redesign, which was all about redesigning your own life outside of society standards. And I highly recommend that book to anybody, just putting that plug in while we're talking, but it's because every person in that book is such an amazing example of what it means to forge your own path, to honor what brings you joy and those values and what you're being called to express in the world. And my own story alone, I mean, was very, I have lived my whole life outside of society standards, established a successful corporate career without going to college, started a business, have a successful business, just to show, despite all of my own personal tragedies and experiences, just to illustrate for other people that success isn't something that's compartmentalized. It's what lights you up. It's what is aligned with who you are and your values. And it doesn't matter if anyone else is doing that or not. In fact, I'd love to just put some emphasis on that point to say that especially right now, if you are feeling guided to do something that you don't feel like anyone else is doing, pay attention to that rather than question it. Run toward it and go after it, because we are living in a time where many are being called to birth new creations that support humanity in more evolved ways of living and being. So I know my answer was like really long-winded.
I love that last piece that you said. I think that's so potent, that people are being called to do different things and to
Yes.
things, and just if you can have the trust to follow that instinct, then
yes,
what's going to unfold on the back of that is just amazing. Because you're right, if you look around us, so many things just aren't working. Like, so much of the things we've built aren't serving people and they're not serving the planet. And so
yeah.
how amazing that as individuals we've got some of those answers, some of those solutions buried within us. And if we can bring that out of ourselves and share it.
Yeah, and to just point out, for those who like to look at things from a practical standpoint as well, just simply observing your physical reality. Your physical reality is a remnant of the past. It's the remnant of past thoughts and actions, whether that's at your own individual level or at a collective level, right? So whatever the supposed society standards are, whatever's going on in the world right now is a remnant of past thoughts and actions. Mm-hmm. We, as humans with free will, have the sovereignty to create new. And that's how new physical realities come into play, is by us choosing to take action on the new thoughts and visions we're experiencing from within.
Whoa, that's such a powerful reminder that actually everything we see right now is the result of the past. So there's that lag time, I guess, isn't there? Because we live in this physical plane. There's a lag time between the new thoughts and new ideas and them actually manifesting for us to physically see them. So we need to just hold the trust and faith that the new things are actually already happening. We just can't see it yet, but it's there. It's almost as an inevitability that some of this stuff will appear in our physical reality in the near future. That's my dream.
Yes.
So why do you love your work? Tell me what it is about your work that gets you the most excited.
I just love being witness to people stepping into their joy, and especially after I've been working with someone for a bit, to see when they actually get to the other side of where they were feeling that fear, but they choose to leap forward anyways. And then when they start to see what happens as a result of them doing that. So many people, and this is another influence that many of us experience, are the feelings of isolation, but we're so not isolated. there's an entire divine support team, God, you know, the universe supporting us. But with humans as free will, we have to do the leap first, right? We have to go first. But as soon as we do, those energies come immediately together and rise up to meet us. So I just love seeing that for people. And I mean, I've just always had a love for working with people and supporting people, even in my, you know, corporate career before I started a business. And it was actually my own journey that inspired me to do the work that I'm doing now, because I, like so many other people, had everything looked great on paper, you know, and I had personally overcome a lot of trauma in my life. And so it was like I had the death grip on my job, you know, on my corporate job. It's like, I've worked so hard to achieve all of this, and how can I let it go? You know, I finally did. And it was during that transition that I was having this spiritual awakening. And I went to healers and therapists, had readings, talked to business coaches. But at the time, and this was many years ago, so things are different now, but at the time, there wasn't anyone out there that could support me in bringing all of that together, right? In terms of integrating into my physical reality who I was becoming. And that was when it clicked for me. It was like, well, I'm that person because I'm experiencing it now, right? And I've always had these intuitive abilities. And just to remind people too, is that none of the experiences that you have are ever in vain, right? We talked earlier about how all of our experiences serve a purpose. Even when you're leaving a career, an industry that I was in for 20 something years, you know, my specialty as a director in store operations was process improvement.
Right.
So my gift for strategy and helping people organize their visions, you know, serves me and the people I support very well in my business today, because I'm able to take these esoteric concepts, these visions, these experiences, and ground them into the physical reality, which is so very, very important, because our physical bodies are part of the earth. Our physical bodies are the channel between the heaven and earth. So it's so important to be able to find that balance.
I love that. I love that piece about how our physical bodies are part of the earth. It's so true. And I love how you have this multifaceted way of working with people. So if anyone's listening now, they're like thinking they really want to work with you, what are some opportunities that are available right now to step into your world?
Yes. So right now I'm mentoring people privately. I actually have a 9-month private mentorship program called Embodied Heart,
Wow.
which encompasses pretty much everything we were just talking about. And it is a 9-month alchemical journey of bringing forward your soul's blueprint, fully embodied, for this extraordinary time that we're living in, which includes the culmination and full remembrance of all of your ancient wisdom and soul gifts from your other lifetimes. There are so many people that are here right now where every experience you've had, every lifetime, every multidimensional experience, that wisdom needs to be brought forward now. Those soul gifts are meant to be brought forward now to contribute to establishing more evolved ways of living for the collective during this time. So that's what that journey is about. So it's intuitive development. It's everything we talked about today. It's intuitive development. It's strategy. It's manifesting. It's energetic healing. It's bringing forward the highest embodiment of you here.
That just sounds amazing. And I love this piece about bringing in all your soul gifts from previous lifetimes. That just sounds so fascinating to me. So if anyone wants that, how do they get in touch with you? Where do they go?
So as soon as we jump off here, I'll go ahead and plug a link into the comments that has more information on it. And there's also a link within that to where if someone reads the info and they're interested and they want to connect with me directly for a chat, there will be a way for them to do that as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you for sharing all your insight today, and thank you for sharing about this new opportunity to work with you, which just sounds amazing. Like, I'm so interested and intrigued. It sounds fantastic. I think you're amazing. I'm so happy that we got to connect, and thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you. It was such an honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. That is a wrap.